Hey, what's the word, players? Right off the bat, let me just say that Sonic Frontiers is a good game. I'm having so much fun playing it, having a hard time putting it down, and this is not something that I thought I'd be saying after seeing that IGN first gameplay trailer. Some disclaimers really quick, these word of mouth videos tend to be my first impressions, so this isn't going to be a review of Sonic Frontiers. At the time of this recording, I'm in the middle of the second island in the game, which puts me at roughly 7 hours into Sonic Frontiers. There's no spoilers in this video, but I will be talking about the first Titan boss, and in my opinion, that's a boss that you have to experience blind. So if you haven't had a chance to get to that point, click off here and then come back once you reach that point, unless you don't care about me talking about it. So Sonic Frontiers is the latest 3D Sonic game that's a follow-up to Sonic Forces, which came out in 2017. We see Sonic, Tails, and Amy try to locate what's happening to the Chaos Emeralds when suddenly they get isekai'd into a mysterious place called the Starfall Islands. And it's up to Sonic to figure out what's the story behind this mysterious island, as well as to rescue his friends. When Sega first announced that Ian Flynn was going to be writing Sonic Frontiers, first I had to pinch myself to make sure I wasn't dreaming, and then had to check the date to make sure that it wasn't an April Fool's joke. After that is when I shouted for joy because I love Ian Flynn's work on the Sonic comics. In fact, leading up to the release of Sonic Frontiers, rather than me playing through all the 3D Sonic games, instead what I decided to do was actually read up on the IDW Sonic comics just so I can get a feel for Ian Flynn's handling of the characters and his writing style. I'd love to talk more about the comics someday, but back to Frontiers, it is very clear that Sega hired the right man for the job. I just love how natural Sonic and his friends interact with each other.
Good call. I'll scout around and find you later. Deal?
Deal. Be careful.
Careful? Where's the fun in that? Listen, help me find the Chaos Emerald so I can beat up some big robots. You'll be free and back to guarding the Master Emerald in no time.
Sounds like a plan.
The voice direction's a little bit different, with Roger Craig Smith going for a more deeper role, which he already gave Sonic a pretty deep voice to begin with, but I don't know if it's just because of the writing style, but he sounds a lot less forced and more natural, and that also goes for the rest of the cast as well. I haven't gotten far enough in the game to see how Tails is, but at least when it comes to Amy and Knuckles, I really love this portrayal of them in the games, where Amy usually came off as an obsessive fangirl, and Knuckles as nothing more than a knucklehead. Here we actually get to see more dimensions to them. We see more emotions. Despite the fact that these guys are on a different plane of existence, essentially holograms to Sonic, this is probably like the most realist and honestly the most heartfelt that we've seen these guys in the games. So huge props to Ian Flynn for making me care so much about these guys. But now let's jump into the gameplay. Sonic Frontiers is Sonic Team's first foray into what they call open zone gameplay. Now, just as it took a while to understand what Nintendo meant with Breath of the Wild going for a more open air approach, it took a while for pretty much any of us to understand what the heck did open zone mean, as opposed to just calling it open world. But after playing Sonic Frontiers, it actually makes sense what they mean by that. So I mentioned earlier that I'm on the second island in the game. I believe it's called Ares. And the idea is that each island has its own theme and its own set of objectives to complete. Think of it as like the hub worlds from Sonic Adventure 1 or Sonic 06. But instead of the hub worlds be a distraction to get to the levels of the game, the hub worlds themselves are the actual meat and bones of Sonic Frontiers. With these islands, you have plenty of room to run around and gain speed, and honestly, this is my favorite direction for 3D Sonic. But if you ask me, when you start a new game and you're given the option between action or high speed, definitely choose high speed, even if this is your first Sonic game. Otherwise, you're going to be hit with a pretty big speed nerf that's just going to make moving around a slog. But luckily, Sonic Team was actually cool enough to allow you to tweak Sonic's controls in the options menu, right down from his top speed to how he handles when he turns. Now, Sonic Team didn't just stop with an open world approach with Frontiers, but they also put a bigger emphasis on combat. Where in previous games you relied on your homing attack and boosting through enemies in the boost era games, here you're actually given a move list and have a combo system that's more reminiscent to like a character action game such as Devil May Cry or Bayonetta. Sonic can string together combos that honestly would make Shadow the Hedgehog jealous. And he also comes equipped with a new ability called the Side Loop, which, with the press of a button, all you have to do is create a circle pattern, and then Sonic will do damage to anything that's within the circle, which is very useful for breaking enemy shields or solving puzzles. Sonic also comes equipped with a parry. Unlike other games that have a parry in them, you don't actually have to time it in this game. In fact, funny enough, you can actually hold it indefinitely. I usually like doing this flourish anytime I win a boss fight, just because. Since there are light RPG elements and a skill tree in this game, you are able to upgrade Sonic to get more moves, such as this. Something that you'll notice is that all of Sonic's moves, even his basic attack string, puts him in the air. Now, someone that's a fan of Devil May Cry, and one of my favorite aspects of Devil May Cry is being able to see how long I can combo enemies without touching the ground, Sonic Frontiers scratches that very itch. But there are a few enemies that require a little bit more thought as to how to beat them. So far, the only enemies that I don't care too much for are these guys where they fly up in the air and then you have to bounce off these things to reach them. It's not hard or anything, it's just that when you approach them, the camera just shifts over to them so you can get a view of them, and it can just be a little bit annoying to have the camera taken away from you. So more often than not, I just avoid bumping into these guys because you don't really have to defeat these enemies. How I believe the structure goes is you collect all 7 Chaos Emeralds before you square up against the Titans, which is this game's huge big bosses. Some emeralds you can obtain by doing tasks, but some are sealed away and can only be unlocked with a key. To get said key, you can either find them out in the field, or the most common way you can get them is by participating in the subspace levels. But to get into the subspace levels, you have to find the Titan gears, which are found by defeating enemies. Subspace levels are pretty fun. It's a little tiring to see them reuse Green Hill Zone, Sky Sanctuary, and Chemical Plant, but it's a nice little change of pace at the very least. Throughout the islands, there are challenges that you can do. They're pretty easy for the most part, but it's pretty important that you do them, because once you beat them, you unlock 3 things. You unlock a portion of your map, you unlock a segment of a grind rail that acts as your fast travel, and you're able to get a seed of defense or power, which you can trade to level up Sonic. This game has a lot of collectibles, and honestly the feedback loop is so engaging and it's a lot of fun. I'm honestly just enjoying running around, boosting, and drop dashing. Sonic feels good to control, he feels so tight and responsive in this game. And from what I played so far, the world is really beautiful, especially on the second island. I don't know what the other ones look after this, but this game's a looker. I was a little hesitant to hear that they were gonna go for a more atmospheric approach with this game, but considering that this is in an entirely new world than Sonic and his friends are usually in, and that's kind of the tone that the game is going for, I think it's kind of fitting. That being said, they still find a way to vary up the soundtrack a lot, so it's not just atmospheric. Like this lo-fi track that I've been playing in the background, this is from a fishing minigame with Big. Oh yeah, Big the Chat's also in this game. And the subspace levels are a fist-pumping good time. And the Titan boss music, oh my gosh. So when I first turned Super Sonic against that first Titan, I was legit jump scared. I thought I had another tab open that had a video playing. I was just not expecting such a hard track on just the first boss in the game. Like this sounded like this should be like the final boss. So clearly I have a lot of praise for Sonic Frontiers, but there is one notable drawback, and that of course is the pop-in. This was something I was concerned way back during that IGN first gameplay reveal, and unfortunately, as I kind of expected, since they weren't delaying the game, the pop-in's still in the game. I will say, when you're just watching, the pop-in is super obnoxious and distracting. But I don't know if it's just me, but I found that as I was playing it, I didn't really find the pop-in to be gameplay breaking. Maybe I'm just used to it, or maybe it's just due to the fact that the game is more open, so you don't really need to worry too much about precise platforming. Although, again, I'd like to stress that Sonic does control very well in this game. It is something that I hope the Sonic team can patch later down the line. I really hope that Sega retires this need to push Sonic team to release a Sonic game during the holiday season. Luckily, this is a case where for Sonic games released during the holiday season, this is actually in the good camp. Like I said, I'm enjoying Sonic Frontiers a lot, and I think it's a lot of fun. And this gameplay style of this open zone format is something that begs to be expanded upon for future installments. The game may be a little janky here and there, but I can tell this game has a lot of heart behind it. And honestly, I would say this game is a huge dub for the Blue Blur.
Hey Sonic! Enjoy your future! It's gonna be great!
If Sonic team keeps us up, totally. Hey, thanks so much for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Do you have Sonic Frontiers? What do you think of the game so far? If you haven't picked it up or you're interested in picking it up, if you're looking for a church to be a part of, down in the description below will be a link to our church locator. If you're interested in studying the Bible or you want to hang out, Discord also down below. I don't know if I'm going to have another video out before Thanksgiving, so in case I don't, for those of you that celebrate, hope you have a happy and safe Thanksgiving. And until next time, peace!